There is a hand raise from Ayappan. So Ayappan, if you're comfortable, I'll hand over the mic to you. We'll take a couple of questions and then go to Q&A also. Ayappan, mic over to you.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Ayappan.
Happy to be with you, sir, again after a long
Our
time.
pleasure. Our
Great,
pleasure.
feels great. So I just have one question. So the problem is not solved yet, right? We proved that XC and XT are not similar. The empirical observation, the 20 minutes that we have seen, I mean, it may because we have, from my perception, right, two samples should be a homogeneous representation of both from the population. So if
Yes.
XTR, for example, due to random splitting, extreme binge watchers and binge watchers, if they go into XT, which would have caused this particular.
But that's less likely, right? Because if you're doing a 99-1 split, there will be a reasonable number of binge watchers. The probability of a binge watcher going to both of these is roughly 99:1.
It
So
is it
one,
is 99.
that's why we are taking median to avoid these binge watcher outlier extreme values, right?
Sir, then I have one question, sir. So
Please.
if we simply completely segment the whole Netflix customers into extreme binge watchers, medium binge watchers, daily visitors, and occasional visitors, and newcomers, and let's say the ratio is 9:8 is to 5 is to 3 is to 2, both the XC and XT should have the same ratio. I mean, in my perception,
They
should
would
have the
roughly
same.
have it. They would
We should
roughly have
roughly have it.
similar ratios, as long as
Okay.
your sample sizes are reasonable. If your sample size is 30, right? If
Then
you're
it would
taking
be.
only, then it's not possible, right? But if your sample size is, let's say, 100 or a few hundred, then probably those ratios will be
Ratios
fairly
will be
similar.
similar. So my then what you're saying is if we are taking a 99% 1% stuff or 90% or 10% stuff, it is very likely that these ratios will be maintained, and
Yes.
some way XC and XT will be a homogeneous representation of
Yes.
the population.
It's a statistically valid sample from the larger population.
Population. So when you're
Another point is
yes,
you
sir.
could also do experiments only focusing on some users. That's
Correct.
perfectly valid.
Right,
Because
right.
you might want to conduct an experiment and say, hey, I want to only conduct an experiment on customers that I know are already binge watchers. You can do that experiment, by the way.
Right, right.
And such experiments are also done.
So from this that we have, when we say holding 20 minutes as the ground truth that we have empirically observed, and given that the area under the curve is 2%, because that holding that as
Beyond
the
that
ground,
value, area
beyond
beyond that value.
that value is very less likely. So here from our example we are saying XC is not similar to
Yes.
XT. So then we have not yet come to a conclusion to the question we have essentially asked, right? Whether 20 minutes is, can I, based upon this particular sampling, can I even actually put top 10 to all of the guys who are watching
No,
Netflix?
we are not yet there. We'll
Not
come
yet
there.
there. That's
We'll
what
come there.
my
We'll
thing
come there.
was.
We'll come there. We're still a few steps away from that. We'll come there.
Sure, sure. Okay,
Cool.
that's
Thank
what
you.
my thing was. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So just a second, folks, since it's 11:31, I had a quick poll. So I'll come back to some more raised hands and Q&As. I had a quick couple of polls that I wanted to take from you just to get a pulse of the audience. So just publishing here. Okay, so is it on screen? Just let me see. Show on stage. Yeah. So I just wanted to get the pulse of the audience. Please let me know what you think. Are we going too fast, too slow, or just the right speed? So that I can pace myself accordingly. Like if you leave it to me, I want to keep teaching till late into night, but I understand there are constraints. I joined a couple of round tables. There was a mother of two kids who's also a working professional who joined. Really lovely to hear her thoughts that she set aside at some time to attend these sessions and things like that. I just wanted to understand, am I going just right speed or too slow, too fast, so that I can pace myself for the rest 3 sessions. Okay. Good. Okay. I think the sample sizes are reasonable. Okay. These numbers might not change significantly given that enough of you have voted. Again, this is a type of statistical test that we can conduct. So close to 81% of you are saying this is just the right speed. 8% of you are saying this is too fast. 10% of you are saying it's too slow. So I'll continue at the same pace as suggested by one of the participants. I will recap at the end of each session, and I'll try to take more questions from now on, right? So just to give you a quick, so I'll close the poll now. Thank you very much for participating. Close the poll and hide it from stage. Another quick point is some students asked me, what are the next topics that we're going to discuss? So just let me give you a brief on that. Some probably we will skip if time doesn't permit. What I really want to cover is now, given that we understood the concept of permutation testing, we will understand some terminology of hypothesis testing and do a lot of simulations now in the second session. We have some code. We'll play around with that code a lot because permutation testing is so easy to implement, right? By playing around, we understand what happens if my sample sizes are small. What happens if the distributions are very different or very close? What happens if K is very large, K is very small? In medicine, how does this work? So we'll play around with those to understand. We'll do tons of these hands-on coding stuff in the second part. Once that's over, I want to take you to another cutting edge technique which I've seen being used left and right. It's called Mann-Whitney U test. It's probably one of the most widely used techniques. So once we wrap up permutation testing, we will go into Mann-Whitney U. We'll understand the intuition of Mann-Whitney U, the mathematics behind it, and also the code. That's what I would like to cover before 1 p.m. But let's see where it takes us because there's a lot of code to cover now. And hopefully, if time, again, some of this may spill over to the afternoon sessions. In the afternoon sessions, we'll discuss about confidence intervals, bootstrapping, and most importantly, if time permits, we'll cover t-test and chi-square test, or probably we'll just cover those two tests, not go too deep into it, just for the constraints of time. And then I want to discuss also equally about actually doing multi-arm bandits, the intuition behind it, simple strategies, simple experiments that are actually used, because companies like Netflix, Uber, Amazon, they all use multi-arm bandits. Again, we may not be able to go too deep into multi-arm bandits because that's worth a whole day into itself. Again, there are literally big books, full-fledged courses that are taught on multi-arm bandits. So we'll spend good amount of time on it. That's the agenda for the rest of the day. I might skip a few topics here based on constraints of time. Okay, just wanted to give you that heads up. Another question from me is, let me publish a question and show it on stage. Just wanted to get this feedback. If we plan to do more of these long form sessions, what might be better for you? Is it one day in a weekend, 7 hours, like what we're doing now, morning to evening, so that you can block one day, maybe a Saturday or a Sunday, and participate? Or weekend, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday. The reason we didn't do that now is because then both your days are blocked. That's a problem that we thought of. Like a lot of people, a lot of working professionals, folks, participants who have families, they want to spend a whole day with their kids and family. Like yesterday, I got to spend good time with my family, and today I thought I will go through this. The third is weekdays. 4 weekdays, let's say 7 to 9 p.m. That's another alternative we have. If we plan to continue on these types of long form sessions, what do you think might be beneficial? The only thing, as if I were a participant, my concern is, if you take away both the days of my weekend, then what happens to me? Anyway, I don't have much of a weekend because weekend I have tons of classes anyway. But if I were, let's say, a working professional at Amazon and somebody says, please come to a session to learn some topics. So I might be able to do it for one whole day, tell my family and everybody that, okay, this day I'm learning, please don't disturb me. Anyway, I would like to hear your thoughts on this, because this will help us plan the future sessions also. Another concern that we had on doing it on weekdays, 2 hours a day, is people might turn up for a few hours and then give up, because turning up every day is harder than blocking one day of your calendar and coming. Again, these are just our thoughts. Please share your data is God at the end of the day, right? We will go with data. It looks like an interesting split now. This is very interesting. I didn't expect this. Again, if I were a regular working professional not doing a startup and teaching, I would want at least one day for myself. Anyway, think about it. This is very interesting. So approximately, again, these numbers will change as more of you vote, but I think about 450 of you have voted till now. About 45% of people feel that one weekend, 7 hours, like what we are doing, is something that they like. Very closely, about 36% of people feel that weekends, 2 days in a weekend, 4 hours each is better. Interesting. The third is the minority, which is 18% of you who think 4 days on weekdays, 2 hours a day. I think the tie now is 1 day in a weekend versus 2 days in a weekend. They're close. They're not exactly same, but close. Very interesting. Very interesting observations. Cool. Very nice. Okay, I'll wrap up the poll. Again, it is data like this which should guide our decisions and not opinions. Like I might have some opinion. I was surprised that people are, I was actually thoroughly surprised that people said, hey, we want 2 days, 4 hours each. I mean, I didn't expect that to be true, but very interesting because your data, data is God. Everything else is an opinion. Cool. So let's come back here. Oh, Rajshekhar is asking why not Saturday. I'm cool. It could be any weekend. It could be Saturday or Sunday. We just I, I introduced bias. Cool, very nice. So I'll quickly take a couple of Q&A questions and then continue where we left off. Right. So after answering the question that I left you all with, we will wrap up and then start the second session officially, because I think each session will not last for the whole 7 hours. I will wrap it up. The next session will automatically start for you. But since there are some questions here, I thought I'll answer them because they will go away if I close this session. So let's go here. Can there be multiple test groups for an experiment? Yes, they can be. We have actually, we will discuss that hopefully in this session, in second session itself. There are a lot of cases where multiple test cases can be there and they can also be problematic. And that's where when you have, let's say, instead of having the bar or not having the bar, I'll give you an actual example that Netflix actually did. So Netflix has this art, right? Imagine if I have any movie. There is a movie banner type. It's called the movie art, the image that they show. There could be 100 variations of that art, right? Which of them works better? When you have a lot of these variations, that's where multi-arm bandits are actually used in the industry. Actually, Netflix uses multi-arm bandits to test that. And there's a lot of interesting research from Netflix blog itself that says that in some countries, some art pieces, as in some movie poster, we call it movie posters in India, right? Suppose you have some 20 movies on the Netflix page. Each of this has some image, some text and all that, right? In some countries, some methods work better. In some countries, others work better. They have a very nice technical blog on that. Yes, so this is good. This is from Derek. Hey, very happy, Derek. Thanks for the appreciation. It means a lot. So we were not sure how many people would even come up for a day-long session, but the response has been terrific. This is a huge encouragement for us to try and do more of these. Of course, these things take a lot of planning, a lot of preparation and things like that. But again, thank you very much for your appreciation. It means a lot. Cool. Good site to learn exploratory data analysis. We have a lot of free videos on our Applied AI course. I think the whole exploratory data analysis is publicly available. Please check it out. I mean, that's super simple and easy to do. Of course, I'm sure there are tons of other places also. There is Stats Quest. I think that's a YouTube channel that I really like because the explanation is succinct, clear, elegant, etc. But I don't remember seeing a lot of code there. So that's another very nice YouTube channel that I like. Okay, very nice question. So this is from, I'll take a few questions and then continue the session, right? So the question Amninder says is, what is the use of this whole PDF, CDF, all of this? Simple, boss. So we got these median differences, right? We got these K median differences. We plotted the PDF of that. And we said how much area is there in this PDF region. To do what? To decide whether we want to show the Netflix top 10 or not. This is one of the simplest applications of PDF and CDF. PDF and CDF help us answer very simple questions. Suppose I have some, let's take a simple example, right? Suppose I take heights of all the students who are there in this class. Standard example, textbook example, actually. Take all the heights of all the students, right? And let's assume people who attend this are a good sample population of everybody in the universe, all people in the universe. Let's just say, hypothetically, that's not true, but let's assume so. Then my question here is, what is the probability that you'll find somebody who is a 6.5 footer or somebody who is taller than 6 foot 6 inches? It's very low. The probability is very low. But can you tell me that? Because imagine if I'm a shoe manufacturing company, a 6 foot 6 guy will have like a 13 or a 14 sized shoe, right? How many people are actually, so from the whole population, how many 6 foot 6 inches are there in, let's say, the city of Hyderabad? But then they know whether they should even invest in making a 13 size shoe or not, right? That's the idea there. Cool. Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'll wrap up the questions now quickly. There are some questions on how to prepare for interviews and things like that. We have done complete live sessions on that. They're available on our YouTube channel. Please check them out. In this session, we may not be able to answer that. Okay, this is another question on how to make quick notes. One bad habit that a lot of people have is this, is especially in online content, they watch the content, they pause it and they start taking notes, unlike what they do in the classroom. In the classroom setting, you're listening to your instructor and you're taking notes live. Why not do that? Imagine if this is happening live only. Okay, you would take notes, right? While listening to the instructor, you've done this all your life. And you'll only focus on points that are important and not all the junk, everything that the instructor says. Just follow the same mechanism so that you're not wasting time on making notes. As simple as that.